This video is sponsored by Kershaw, Next Level Pocket Knives. Use discount code 20archery23 for 20% off at kershawknives.com. Hey, Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I'm sitting down with Kolby from UltraView Archery to talk about the new UV slider. Kolby, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Lucas. I really appreciate doing this call with you.
Talk UV slider. And how long were you guys kind of making a plan to build a site? I know you've been building scopes since day one. That's the first product. Yeah. Moved over to release aids. Was the plan always to make a site, or is that kind of a newer initiative?
Well, I mean, yes and no. We're pretty open about the plan is to have what we believe is the best product in each category. And we started with scopes, the UltraView scopes. That's where we came from. And a lot of people enjoyed the scopes. We then kind of got into release aids a little bit with the Hinge 1, moving to the Hinge 2. And last year, our big product launch was UV button. What was special last year with UV button is we kind of made this pivot into, making products for the bow hunter. And so we very much saw a need, and also we just very much enjoyed, shooting our bow hunting rigs year round, especially with the popularity of total archery challenges. It is just the most fun you will ever have, is just going out, shooting your hunting rig with your friends. And so we've kind of made that pivot. And in doing so, we saw a lot of opportunity with bow hunting equipment. And so, we took our expertise at the company. We have, if you were to come spend the day with us at UltraView, you'd find a whole bunch of people who are very, very passionate about archery and bow hunting, but also a whole group of people who are extremely passionate about products. They care about the customer experience. They care about solving products or solving problems with products. And so they try to think about the whole picture. And in doing so, we all realized, and you'll actually kind of see this story we tell in the launch film of UV Slider, we kind of just realized everybody at UVHQ was using a sliding sight one way or another. We had all of the brands. Everybody was using one because they liked a certain feature, but there wasn't like the perfect solution. They all had certain features that were great in some aspect, but you had to get that knowing its downfalls. And so when we realized, holy cow, there's this great opportunity to develop the perfect sliding sight for us, for what we want. I mean, we were nose to the ground, and for, this project should have been probably 18 to 24 months, but we ironed it out in just over a year. We have a team of probably 5 full-time, I think now, like product engineers, as well as just a whole bunch of people in the office that were heavily focused and dedicated on this project over the last year. And, UV Slider was the result of the whole team kind of putting their heads down and being very passionate about a product and just trying to solve a lot of problems and come out with something that we hope, bow hunters really enjoy and would love using.
Was it a bit of a challenge now, I guess, to build the actual site, the actual production of it? Because I know, again, you started off, I think, with like 3D printed scopes before you moved to metal scopes and then obviously metal release aids. But like, are the same kind of production houses still able to help you produce that, right? Or did you have to go somewhere that could, like, did you have to change it or find different areas, different people with different areas of expertise to help you build this?
No, that's a great question, and I think part of the it's been difficult navigating that for the business just because of our rapid growth. Like you said, the UltraView literally started with one 3D printer in my college dorm room. And from that one 3D printer, we've literally reinvested to the state that we are now. And I think it's been like 6 years. But pretty soon, once we got good traction and it was becoming a, very real thing and a career choice for me, when I went in full time, we kind of pivoted away from using 3D printers and more so towards using whatever manufacturing method we have to use to manufacture and develop just fantastic high quality products. And we source all of the manufacturing for several reasons. one of the main reasons is just the scalability. The demand for our products is through the roof, and every time we thought about bringing it in house, next month we would need twice as much capabilities as we thought we were going to need. So we've actually used multiple different partners over the last several years, and we've maxed out local machine shops. We've moved from one to the other. We've used multiple. And so just because of our rapid growth, we've had to do whatever we have to do to keep that demand. And so we work now with, some of the highest quality, most advanced local vendors and machine shops. And, they do some crazy work. They are much better at it than we are. We just design for manufacturability. We give them drawings and specs, and they're the machine experts, and they go to town on it. But no, it's been a challenge to navigate the supply chain for sure, especially with a product that's A, at this scale, and B, that's just as complex as this. UV slider and sliding sights are very difficult to design and manufacture and produce well. And so thankfully, with manufacturing release aids, those require very high tolerances, very advanced machining. We already had some expertise built in there, and so it wasn't too hard of a leap. But we've had some very strong partners and a very robust supply chain on this product.
So I guess let's talk about the sight now, and what makes it different than any other sliding sight we're going to find on the market. What sets this UV slider apart?
Yeah, I can run you through it. So in order of kind of what you get out of the box, it's going to come in this very nice travel case, and this travel case lays it out. It comes broken down. You have your dual dial and scope assembly, and then you have your vertical rail right here. It's also going to come with some other accessories that we can run through later. But the main thing that really sets UV slider apart, I think, everybody might have a different answer, but for me, it's the ergonomics and the ease of use. And once again, referring to kind of our launch assets and launch video on this product, we drive really hard that when like that one moment is happening during your big hunt, one of the only variables that's consistently changing is the yardage that you might have to take your shot at. And so, the highest end bow hunters want the accuracy that sliding sights provide, but they were always very difficult to engage with, very difficult to, engage with it and slide it to where you needed it. And so there were a lot of problems and pain points that we wanted to solve there. And out of that, you get what we're calling this dual dial. So this dual dial is our nested windage inside our elevation dial. And because of that architecture of putting the windage inside this elevation, it makes this elevation dial super easy to grab. Nothing gets in the way of your knuckles. And then we also conveniently put the lock right in front of this, so it's in the most natural position. When you come in, your finger's right here to where you can unlock it, slide it to your yardage, and relock it. And nothing gets in the way. It's so easy to do. And then if you did need to move it in a bind without unlocking, you can override it if need be. But when it's locked, nothing is going to move it. And so that, for me, was one of the standout features, is just the overall ergonomics and ease of use, to where it doesn't take you out of that most important moment of your hunt.
Not that I'd be changing the windage a lot on a hunt or anything like that, but when is the windage adjustment also unlocked with that same locking mechanism?
Good question. So the windage as well, there's the difficult part of launching and marketing this product were all of the awesome features that we wanted to talk about. So, we could talk about this all afternoon, but one of the neat features as well is this windage knob acts much like a watch crown, where you can unlock it by pulling it out. You can adjust your left and right, and it has clicks for micro adjust. And then when you get it set, you just push it back in and it's locked. And so that's your left-right adjustment. But like you said, once you get that set, you generally aren't messing with it. But it's just a super neat little mechanism that the engineers were able to figure out there, and it's very satisfying to use.
A feature again, I would like a little more information on, which I saw, which was intriguing to me, was the triple mark system.
Yeah.
Again, and what I like about a slider sight is, again, when usually a hunting sight, I usually use a 3-pin hunting sight anyway, and I'll maybe 20, 30, 40 will be my pins, but I like to I shoot a long distance. You're at hunting camp, sometimes you got some time between hunts. Let's go play around at 100 yards for fun. But when you move that down, is it all 3 pins are still going to be accurate on the yardage tape? So if you move your top pin down to 50, that bottom pin now says 66. That's still a good yard. That's still the real number.
Yeah, correct. So what triple mark is triple mark is a pin and indicator pairing solution, so that once it's hard to, I can unrack it here. We'll talk about quick break, I guess, next, but so I can show you you have 3 indicators right here, green, yellow, green, to pair up with your green, yellow, green 3 pins in the middle. So through the setup process, if you're to set your top, middle, and bottom pin at 20, 30, 40, like you said, when you have it set at 20, 30, 40, they're of course at those yardages, referring to them on the tape. But the second you unlock and engage and slide this down, because those indicators are paired perfectly with your pins, the yardage references that they're telling you they're at are always correct. And so kind of a neat advantage of this is I will use my middle pin as what people would say their floating pin, because you then have a pin on either side where if that animal steps further or closer to you, you have kind of your gap on either side of that. And so another added benefit is you don't have to pick which pin is your floater. A lot of guys with a multiple pin setup always pick their bottom pin as their floater pin because that gave them the most yardage. But now all of your pins are floating pins with the triple mark solution.
You referenced the ease of breaking the sight down, which is, if anyone who's ever shot target archery, most target sights are pretty easy to, you slide them in. They might have a scope that pops up. So you've kind of brought that into the hunting sight world.
Yeah, and it's super nice because especially with like bridge lock, there's so much. We have optimized bars for bridge lock, Picatinny, and side mount options. But this is the bridge lock bar that I have here. So it's already optimized and perfectly offset for Matthews bows. But this mounting bar will stay in the riser of your bow. And then with this quick breakdown, what we're calling the quick break latch, it's this springed latch at the bottom of this rail, is you can unrack the dual dial and scope assembly from this, leave this in your bow. Nothing is going to stick out past the riser or cams or anywhere, so it's not going to get bumped or bent. And you can take your the sensitive part of this and put it in your backpack, put it in the case when you're traveling, and it's not going to get banged up. Or if you're just hiking through the woods, you can take this off when you're hiking through the woods, and you don't have to get worried about it getting banged up. And you can clean all of the sensitive parts. So if it ever gets dirty, if it ever gets gritty or anything, you can quick break it, wipe it down with a wet cloth super quick, and then it feels brand new when you rack it back together. And it makes just the most satisfying little click when you rack it on. It's super, super fun.
So I guess I'm assuming, because I don't have one of these in my hands at this point, but you guys are well known for having incorporated sight lights into your scopes, and that's the same here with the UV slider as well.
Correct. So the neat thing with UV slider is it comes with our UV3 XL SE, so slider edition scope. And the UV3 scopes already have a lot of features people really love, which, like you said, the light, I'll unrack it so I can show you. The it has this light cartridge on the front of the scope. So if it's dark, you can turn lights. You can turn them all the way down to where they're hardly lit. You can also make it super, super bright. Another added benefit is you can kind of toggle on and off the level. It's pretty well lit right now, so you can't see it toggling, on and off with the light too well. But in low light conditions, you'll always be able to see your level, which is super important. And so it has the integrated light. And what's nice about the UV scope system is it's cartridge based. So on the light side of things, if you're hunting in a state that doesn't allow electronics, through this one set screw, you can loosen this, pop the light out, and then you can put in this little flush no light cap on the front of your scope. And now you're legal for states that don't allow electronics. Likewise, as an added benefit with this cartridge system is it comes with this 3-pin setup. But for people who prefer a single pin or, a vertical double pin, you can swap this whole front cartridge out the same way with just this set screw here. So you can swap from a single pin, double pin, 3-pin. And because our middle pins are fixed on all of those, your middle indicator will line up on every cartridge that you swap. So you don't have to mess with tapes. You don't have to do anything in swapping from a single, double, or a 3-pin cartridge. And, ultimately what that does is you're just spending more time shooting your bow, which is what we all want to be doing.
Does that use like a regular battery, or do you charge it by plugging in? Like, how do you make sure you're always topped up for your hunt?
Good question. It does have, if I had an Allen key, I don't have an Allen key on me, I'd pop it out and show you, but right behind this level on this light cartridge are the batteries. It takes 2 coin cell batteries. The good news is unless you're somebody who runs the light full blast with the level on all the time, the battery life is exceptional. So if you run it only at dusk, which is the only when you need it, and you're at half power, you can go pretty much all season and not have to change your batteries on this light. We designed the circuitry to be very efficient and very low power, so they should last all season for you.
Now, I think I read on the site, I believe that this thing comes like aligned for like your third axis is already set up from the factory.
Another great question. So the what we're calling the first and second axis, which is this guy here. So that's the vertical rack. That will come pre-leveled, pre-plumb. And then the third axis, which is this guy here, which is kind of this axis, we will get that lined up. However, we always recommend shooting in your third axis because it can vary bow to bow, shooter to shooter. But yes, every single one of these goes in a leveling vise. We double check first, second, and third axis, and we make sure they're as close to perfect as possible before we ship them out. And then another added benefit is all of the axis adjustments have springed micro adjust feedback. So if you were to loosen these 2 bolts for your third axis or loosen these 2 bolts for your first and second axis, nothing just gives way and falls. So you can loosen them, nothing will move. And then through these set screws, you can finely tune and adjust your first, second, and third axis. And it just makes doing it so much quicker and easier.
Cool. Again, I think I saw on there, you can have you have the white kind of like the kind of guide ring almost on the front of yours. That you don't have to have that in there if you don't want to.
On the scope?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So this is another, the UV3 XL SE, the slider edition, does have upgrades from the old XL. The reason why it's not like the UltraView 4 is because it's all back compatible. So this alignment ring that pops in and out of this scope, this is compatible with any UV3 XL. So even if somebody doesn't have this new black slider edition scope, all of the existing cartridges, lights, and these new alignment rings are back compatible. So these work as well for old scopes, but all UV sliders come with this white Viz ring as we're calling it, to help align peep and scope and low light conditions.
Now, is there anything else I'm missing that might be coming in the box that we haven't talked about?
They got a lot of goodies in the box. I think, one of the things that we try to do at UltraView is we try to make it as easy as possible to set up. So when you get it, it comes in that travel case like I showed. This is the packaging, but it comes with, right out of the box, just a super easy to understand quick start guide. So it walks you through unlocking your dual dial and quick breaking it together to at least get the 2 units together. And then inside this case, you'll get your no light cap if you can't use your light. And then the team spent a lot of time trying to make sure that the instructions were, very easy to understand, even though like we've laser engraved first, second, third axis, and the product is easy to understand naturally. If you do need to dig a little deeper, we've spent a lot of time running through everything you would need to know about this product with it, super simple, bite-sized pieces of information on how to get it set up right out of the box. A little more gadgets you'll get pretty much an extra +1 of everything. Extra level, extra batteries, extra first, second, third axis bolts, just in case you lose something while setting it up. A couple extra metal sight tape plates, plenty of sight tapes. So, that is a neat feature actually we can cover, is you have the availability to run twin tapes. So on the vertical bar, I only have 1 tape on it right now, but this is the shooter side. You can have a tape here. You can also put a tape on the outside. And so we ship left and right-handed sight tapes. So these are right-handed. We have left-handed ones. So you can put your right-handed tape on the inside if you're a right-handed shooter. And then with your +1 extra left-handed tape, you can run that on the outside. And so at any time, if you're in the field and you don't have, the ability to kind of look up to a certain side, 360 degrees around this thing, you can see your marks at all times. So you're going to be equipped for any scenario with the twin tapes.
Is there an indicator on the other side as well?
There is, yeah. So we don't, I was just going to show you that. We don't have the triple mark on that side. It's just a lot. It'd take up a lot of space. But on this side, we do have a single fine tipped indicator that lines up with your middle pin. Also, most of the time though, at least with us using this product, unless we were to be out in the field hunting, we just leave the setup tape on this side of the vertical rail, because throughout the summer with total archery challenges and different arrows and stuff, our tapes change so frequently. We always found that the setup tape always ended up on that side, and we were just changing tapes all the time. The setup tape, for those who may not know kind of what I'm referencing, is it's a calibration tape that you put on that side of your sight, where you get sighted in at 20, and then you get sighted in at 60, and then whatever that right indicator over here is pointing to as a number on the setup calibration tape, that's the number sight tape that you should use on your bow. So it makes getting a sight tape process very quick, very easy. I don't know what it was about this sight specifically, but I mean, I got sight tapes with like a dozen arrows out back. I got sighted in at 20, and then, dual dialed down to 60, and within a dozen arrows, I was in the yellow at 60 yards, got my tape, and every time that tape was perfect. I mean, I didn't have to go 1 tape up or 1 tape down. Shot a total archery challenge, and it was a fantastic tape, and it just worked super, super well.
That might be because you're a better shooter than I am, Kolby. It might take me more than 12.
Hey, I'd be careful saying that. I don't shoot nearly as much as I used to shoot, but George says it's still in there somewhere. But it's I will say I've never had. Normally, I have to like refine the tape and perfect it and go back and forth or go up one or down one. And I mean, maybe it was just dumb luck 2 times in a row, but both times it was just a super easy to do process. And like I said, ultimately, you're just going to spend more time shooting your bow, which is what we all want to be doing.
There you go. I figure, what do they say? If you love shooting your bow, don't start an archery business. So.
Yes, actually, that's funny. Actually, during the interview process, we note down if somebody's like, yes, I want to be in the industry because I want to, go to more events and shoot more bow. And it's like, well, that's typically the quickest way to shoot less bow is to, work in the industry, own a pro shop.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Kolby, I think that's about it for today. I really appreciate you kind of coming on and telling me about the new product.
No, I appreciate the call, Lucas. I know even way back in the day, 5 years ago when I was still operating out of, a Georgia Tech dorm room or in the back of George Riles' archery shop at the Archery Learning Center. I remember doing calls with you. So you've been, an early supporter, an early follower of UltraView. And, I appreciate that. Clearly you're keeping your eyes on the industry and trying to get good content on what's new and coming. And, I appreciate that. So thanks for reaching out.